This video contains multiple stories. Let's hear story number 1. My husband prefers not to spend time with his family. I've become closer to a friend, and now I have feelings for him. I don't think this is the right spot for this kind of thing. If Teresa has a better place, please let me know where to go. My husband and I have a 4-year-old daughter. Same old story. Started off great, but now it's just the usual small arguments. Ever since we had our daughter, things feel much more distant. He prefers playing video games over spending time with me or our daughter. Oh, and if he's not playing games, Hess is on YouTube, watching gamers play on his phone. I joined a close-knit group of friends through marriage. There were 14 people. Everyone in ATL East went to high school together, and some even went to elementary school together. I'm the only one who doesn't belong. About 8 months ago, a couple from this group purchased a house near ours. Our daughters have grown closer and want to do many things together. She signed up for the same dance class as us. The dad takes her to class at 8 a.m. on Saturdays. Meet S, M31. S and I have always had a good relationship. We met about 9 years ago when my husband and I started dating. During the first week of class, we spent the hour sitting together in the waiting room. It's not connected to the hall, so we can't really see anything. We often end up in uncomfortable silence. S is a funny guy, so time passed quickly with him around. The following week, Hess showed up and said he was going to get a coffee instead of staying in that room. I'm open to joining if I'm free. I'm on board, so we hop into his car. We got stuck in traffic, so when we finally arrived, there wasn't much time to eat in the restaurant. We decided to get our food to go and ended up sitting in his car for 20 minutes. That works. The following week, he says he's doing the same thing. I'm open to joining. We try again, and for some reason, I feel really paranoid about it this time. I suggested we just use the drive-thru and stay in the car again. He agrees, and we start sharing his phone, choosing awful songs from our childhood for an hour. It turned out to be pretty enjoyable. For the last 8 months, every week has been the same, and I haven't shared any of it with my husband. I lost my dad a few months back, and my husband showed no concern. No empathy, no reassurance. I couldn't believe the man I married was acting like this when I needed him the most. I couldn't cry in front of him without him getting annoyed. I leaned on S during this time and have cried in his arms multiple times. He asked about home, and I told him the truth. I've never felt more alone than when I'm there with my husband. S has been great dealing with me and suggested a marriage counselor. I mentioned it to my husband, but he refused to consider it. S mentioned that he has different feelings about my husband. He didn't realize he was acting that way and has even made a few remarks about it, but as always, it went right over my husband's head. I no longer have feelings for my husband, and I think it's been that way for a while. And have developed strong feelings for S. I feel overwhelmed with guilt, lost, in pain, unfortunate. Everything fades when I look at him. I want to clarify that S has never been inappropriate with me at all. Hess didn't act weird, didn't say anything inappropriate, never caught him looking, nothing that would hint at different intentions. I'm embarrassed to say that the only reason we haven't kissed or had sex is that Hess hasn't taken the initiative. I'm afraid because of how he makes me feel. I don't think I could say no or pull away. There have been moments after seeing him when I get home, and all I can think about is how I wish he had made a move, and that makes me a terrible person. This might sound strange for someone I see for just an hour every weekend morning, but it affected other clubs our kids attend. He will see him at nursery. I began coordinating our dog walking times on certain days so we can meet up. If Terry is a reason to see him, I'll look for it and take advantage of it. I realize this is not good, and I should take action, but when the time comes, I just don't do anything because I don't want to. Hours later, I'm struggling with my thoughts, telling myself I need to make a decision about my marriage, whether to work on it or to separate. I want to express my feelings, but I'm worried about looking foolish. I don't want to frighten him. What if it ruins their marriage? What happens if our kids can't meet? What will happen to the group if this becomes known? It's a complete disaster. I'm unsure about what to do since we'll be seeing each other frequently. My husband never takes our daughter to classes, so I'm left handling it all. I handle the nursery runs every time. How do I move on from him when he's everywhere? Update. Since my last post received a lot of attention, I wanted to share an update. Thanks to everyone who reached out to me privately about similar situations. It's surprising to see how many people are married to the same person. This has provided me with the strength to make this choice. Please consider how your words might affect others before leaving unkind messages. It's simple to hide behind a screen and write about the bad things you've experienced. I've received messages from people telling me to end my life, that my child should be taken from me, that I'm promiscuous, I shouldn't be allowed in public. I don't deserve those texts. No one does. Many individuals sharing here may already feel vulnerable. It's unnecessary, and you end up appearing damaged. I'll say it again for those who didn't get it. I haven't slept with S. I haven't taken any steps to do that. I haven't kissed S and haven't tried to make it happen. I mentioned that if he tried anything, given how I was feeling, I would likely be in a tough spot. I'm sure other women here understand what I'm referring to. So, yesterday I followed my usual routine, took the dogs for a walk at night, then came home and went to bed. Right before I was about to go to bed, they texted me asking if I used Reddit. My heart sank. I asked him if he did and why. He shared a link to my post and asked if I had posted it. I confessed it was me and braced myself for the worst. He responded with, "Wow," and a few minutes later texted me not to stress. He will keep it to himself. I'm taking the night to think things over. We'll talk tomorrow, which is now today. He said we would figure it out, that everything would be okay, but we need to set some boundaries. Last night was rough for me, but after some time, I managed to calm down. I didn't sleep well. I went through all the messages I received. As I read them, I glanced at my husband, who was passed out on the other side of the bed, and felt a wave of anger wash over me. I don't know why. This carried into this morning, and I won't discuss it with him. It's over. I'm tidying up while he's away so I can make a quick exit if necessary. I'm looking for a place to stay today and reaching out to lawyers. I feel the relief building up, and nothing he says will make me stay. If he asks, I'll say there was someone who helped me see that the life I have with him isn't the life I want. I won't reveal who. He has had many opportunities to do the right thing, but each time he lets me and our daughter down because of his own selfishness. He won't change. I haven't talked to S yet today, and I'm not sure how that will go. I hope we can stay friends, but I get it if he needs some space. I have no hard feelings toward him. Even with what others are saying about my last post, I still want to share my thoughts. I don't want to get involved in anyone's marriage. I might share another update, or I might not. The previous post was tough to manage. I'm not certain about the exact day, but the talk will happen before Friday. I appreciate the support. It meant a lot to me. Update 2. I feel a lot better. It's a big relief. My husband keeps trying to reach me constantly. I was told that we would only talk about our daughter, but I'm done listening to his nonsense. This has revealed his true nature and confirmed my decision. He has been having a tough time, and on my second night away from home, I got a text from S saying my husband was at their place, crying, uncomfortable. He has been relying on them for support and, from what I understand, will do whatever it takes to win me back. It's strange given the many messages he sent saying that I and our daughter ruined his life and that he never wanted either of us. I have strong support from friends and family, which he doesn't like. S and I have limited contact, but he still checks in to see if I'm okay and if my daughter and I need anything. We talked, and both of us agree that I'm going through limerence. I made it clear that I'm not interested in being intimate with him, and that I've been feeling really fragile for a long time. It doesn't help with his wife. I feel terrible and completely understand if they don't want to stay friends. She doesn't know yet, but she'll find out when things calm down a bit. I don't think I love him anymore. He opened my eyes and helped me see that our way of living wasn't right or healthy, and that I deserve more. My husband has his own problems, just like everyone else. They won't fix themselves, and I can't spend my life waiting for that to happen. I really hope he finds the help he needs. She deserves better than to be second to video games and YouTube. I appreciate everyone who shared advice and those who related their own experiences. I hope anyone in a similar situation can find something useful in my story. Don't waste time like I did. That's it for story number 1. Let's hear story number 2. My dad insisted that if I wanted to inherit anything, I had to allow my stepbrother to move into my home. On the second day, my stepbrother admitted he had blown all his savings on an extravagant lifestyle, which led me to kick him out. I'm 30 and just met my stepbrother for the first time last week. My parents separated when I was quite young, and I hardly had any connection with my dad. He provided alimony, and that was pretty much the extent of it. While I can't say I didn't have some interactions with him or lack fond memories from our trips, the reality is that I wasn't really a priority in his life. I got remarried at the age of 10, and shortly after my stepbrother Justin, who is now 18, was born. After my dad's wedding, he relocated overseas to be with his wife in her home country, the UK, which further strained our relationship. I found myself unwilling to continue seeking recognition from my dad, even as a child, and gradually he faded from being a significant part of my upbringing. My mom, on the other hand, did everything for me, and she instilled in me the values of kindness and love. She consistently made an effort to help me see my dad's perspective and was the reason I didn't sever all ties with him completely. Unfortunately, she lost her battle with cancer when I was just 20 years old. Her absence continues to impact me, and without her presence, I felt unanchored in my career. Without that glue, I thought I would lose all connection with my dad as well, but to my surprise, he not only attended my mom's funeral, but also stayed at my place for a few weeks, helping me cope and grieve. He shared tales of what mom was like during her college days, the adventures she had, and her quirky habits that still stick with him. During those couple of weeks, I felt an emotional closeness to him that I had never experienced before. It helped me realize that I still had a parental figure in my life, and after he returned to the UK, we maintained our connection. Occasionally, I would have video calls with him and exchange a few words with his wife, or Justin, but the connection felt more like a formality than anything deeper. I realized they represented a separate chapter of my dad's life, and neither I nor his family had much interest in merging our worlds. It's hard to create a connection when you're separated by an entire ocean. My dad often traveled to the US for work, and I had the chance to reconnect with him during those times. At one of those gatherings, there was a truly cathartic moment when he expressed regret for not prioritizing me in my childhood. He also mentioned that he had included a substantial amount of money for me in his will. I recall him saying, "I understand this won't change anything from the past, son. I genuinely hope it helps ensure a stable future for you." It was a deep conversation that resonated with me, and I let go of the resentment I held towards his poor parenting during my childhood. Not completely. I don't believe it's truly possible to fully forgive someone for that, but I aim to eliminate the barrier that was hindering the development of the connection I had with him. Everything shifted after that moment. It started to seem like I was part of a family once more. My dad and his family, except for Justin due to his A-level exams, attended my wedding to Clara, F32, when I was 28. I also visited the UK as part of my honeymoon tour. My dad's wife was a wonderful person, though she seemed somewhat disconnected from the realities of financial issues. My father is quite affluent, and her family embodies such a high society image that they could easily be characters from a British stereotype. It felt as if it had been lifted right from the world of Downton Abbey. Although we had a decent relationship, it was clear that there was a cultural divide between us. I found myself feeling less alone than I had anticipated. Everything appeared to be improving since my dad intended to move to the US after he retired, which was just a few years down the line. He was hoping Justin would attend his alma mater, which meant I might finally get the chance to meet my stepbrother. By chance, I ended up living near my father's college. Since I attended the same school, I figured it would be a great opportunity to invite Justin to stay with me and Clara as he adjusted to life in America. Dad was thrilled at the thought, and just a few weeks later, Justin showed up at my door. From the very first moment we crossed paths, an undeniable tension hung in the air between us. Justin was raised by two wealthy parents, whereas I was raised by just one. He was pampered, and his entire lifestyle felt utterly foreign to me. During our brief encounter, he carelessly wasted food at a restaurant, mocked a waitress for asking for a decent tip, and blew thousands at the airport mall. I'm serious, we're talking about thousands of dollars. He expressed his frustration about our house lacking an outdoor pool and made us feel inferior for our living situation. I held it together while he was there, but inside, I was boiling with anger. I immediately called my dad and explained that this situation wasn't going to work out. To my astonishment, he had no interest in hearing it whatsoever. He seemed to harbor some resentment about my decision not to give Justin a chance, and I couldn't quite understand why. He remarked, "Seriously, you've only known him for a single day. He's a decent kid, I promise. Just give him a chance." I get where he's coming from, but honestly, you can just sense when someone is going to be an entitled jerk right from the start. Once more, all of these reflections were merely that, reflections. I tried to be diplomatic in explaining why I didn't want Justin around, but it didn't work out. The discussion turned chaotic, and my dad declared that if the two of you couldn't act like brothers, I'd have to pass my fortune to the one I've managed to nurture. Do you understand that? You both need to find common ground because I envision a family without any conflict. Alternatively, we can revert to the previous dynamic we shared, Op. Your commitment should extend beyond just me. It must include my wife and child as well. That was a low blow, but I figured it might be wise to keep Justin around for a few more weeks. After that, my dad would be in the US, and my annoying stepbrother would finally be out of my life. Pretty straightforward, wouldn't you say? Incorrect. Completely misguided. The following day, as Clara and I headed off to work, Justin remained asleep in the guest bedroom. I inquired about his plans and if he required assistance with his admission process, but he merely mentioned having jet lag and that he intended to take it easy all day. Upon arriving home in the evening, I found the house in complete disarray. My house was packed with people because he decided to go out in the afternoon and charm some girls he was eager to impress. After purchasing half of Tiffany's for them, he allowed them and all their friends to throw a party at my house. While I was ushering everyone out, Clara emerged from the house, clearly upset, and informed me that a drunken guy had hit on her. My house was completely destroyed, and my wife no longer felt safe in her own home due to Justin's reckless actions. I confronted Red and made it clear that he was never welcome in my house again. When he inquired, "Come on, where am I supposed to go?" I told him he should definitely book a hotel room. That's when I discovered that he had used up all the money Dad had given him to start his life in the US. Everything disappeared in just a matter of days. I really didn't care, so I told him to sort it out himself. The following morning, my dad reached out to express his disappointment about how I allowed a kid to endure that situation. So this guy ended up calling his dad and then just crashed at a gas station for the night. I understand that he was incredibly entitled, and I have no intention of apologizing for confronting him, but was I in the wrong for sending someone away to a country they don't know well? Update 1. Dad has arrived in the US. He reserved an early flight and transferred additional funds to Justin for his hotel check-in. I was firm on not allowing my stepbrother back into my home, but I did invite my father over so we could discuss the situation. If he was going to be just as stubborn about trying to create a connection with Justin, I was ready to let him know that his inheritance meant nothing to me. We'll see how it unfolds, however. Update 2. Talking to my dad was an emotional whirlwind. To start, it wasn't only him who showed up. His wife was there too, and much to my surprise, Justin was present as well. There wasn't much I could do, so we all just sat in the living room, feeling the awkwardness in the air. To my surprise, Justin stood up and unexpectedly apologized for his behavior. It felt scripted and came across like a whiny child being made to say sorry by their parents, which isn't too far from the truth. My dad mentioned that he too was unaware of the full extent of Justin's actions. Once he discovered how Justin had depleted all his savings by reviewing his transaction history, he had a serious conversation with him. I expected this kid to spin a completely different tale to his dad, claiming he fell victim to a scam and lost his money, but I had no intention of listening to his excuses. I rolled my eyes and replied, "Dad, I get that you're trying to teach your kid a lesson, but it doesn't alter my feelings towards him. I refuse to let him stay with me, and I won't regard him as family unless he demonstrates that he is truly remorseful. I have a lot of respect for you and your wife, but I need some time before I can genuinely consider Justin as a brother. The atmosphere shifted from one of remorse to a chilling silence, and they departed without any commitment to reconnect or resolve the issues. The inheritance was never mentioned again, which I suppose indicates that my dad remains firm in his stance. Clara believes it's best for me to feign reconciliation with my stepbrother to keep my dad feeling secure about his family, while also preserving the relationship I've developed with him over the years. However, I simply can't find the motivation to follow through with that. Update 3. It's been a month since my dad relocated to the US. During that period, we haven't had much communication, and it seems that Justin has finally settled into a dorm. To my surprise, I received a call from my dad's wife. During our conversation, she opened up and confessed that Justin had been spoiled because of her. My dad was eager for me to connect with my stepbrother, driven by his own insecurities about merging the two distinct aspects of his life. He believed that for his family to remain intact, it was essential for Justin and me to have mutual respect. He shared his feelings with her, but felt too embarrassed to contact me. I expressed my gratitude for her informing me, and I mentioned that I would contact Dad when I felt prepared. I had a conversation with my dad over the phone, and it was obvious that we both missed each other. He openly acknowledged being a jerk and turning a blind eye to Justin's awful actions, all while making me endure it. He expressed regret for the threats he made regarding the inheritance and assured me that I would get what I rightfully deserved, no matter what. I expressed my gratitude and reassured him about our relationship, emphasizing that it's not necessary for me to have a good rapport with Justin to show respect for his new family. It feels like things have really improved between us lately.